Tonight, Broken Hill Health authorities preparing to stop the spread of COVID-19. And local businesses welcome the easing of restrictions in South Australia.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. Health authorities in Broken Hill are bracing for possible COVID cases after 6 infections were recorded in Western New South Wales. The Silver City remains COVID-free for now, with local police doing their best to keep it that way.
COVID's claws reaching further west, with more than 80% of New South Wales residents in lockdown. Broken Hill unscathed for now.
Given that Western LHD is literally right next door to us, we are on high alert at the moment.
8 western areas joining Dubbo in lockdown late yesterday. The restrictions apply retrospectively, so if you've been in any of these areas since the start of the month, you may need to follow stay-at-home orders.
We have convened the full meeting of our local emergency response team and we're reviewing and revising all our current plans.
QR check-ins and vaccinations are our best line of defence. Pfizer supply at the clinic returning after being taken for Sydney school students.
We're planning on receiving normal supplies as of tomorrow.
Local police are continuing compliance checks and heavily monitoring highways.
We're checking all of those visitors. We're also checking the buses that come and also trains. So we're trying to make sure that we're over top of every available entrance into the town. Locals
also advised to avoid any unnecessary travel.
How quickly this virus travels, all you need is someone to stop at a petrol station and can easily leave the virus behind.
COVID showing it doesn't follow lines on a map. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
South Australia's restrictions further eased today, with density caps increased at hospitality and other venues. Port Pirie businesses say it's a step in the right direction, but are calling for more local support.
A step towards normality.
It's a wonderful relief to be able to fit more people into the restaurant.
Certainly a step in the right direction. Yeah, I think it is. I think there'll be people in the regional areas that will still be concerned that we haven't had any COVID virus.
Restrictions further easing today, with density limits raised to 75% at hospitality and retail venues. But just 3 weeks ago, it was a different story, and there's no certainty a lockdown won't strike again.
We went from full house to having no one in the hotel, and of course people are so afraid of coming out that they just stop coming out for lunches, for dinners and things like that.
The hospitality industry, just one sector crying out for help. Local businesses and their employees still doing it tough, seeing little to no profit and reduced wages.
So we've got 100 families directly affected. So going to 75% is an increase, but tell me who could survive on 80% of what they were used to earning. Last week it was 50%.
While business support packages are available, they're calling for regional communities to rally behind them.
We've just got to stop buying online. We've got to go and support the local homeware shop, the fashion stores, the cafes, pubs. Let's get a pizza if we don't have a pizza. Let's just do our little bit to getting those businesses busier, to get those employees back.
If you don't continue to support local business will die. So please support them.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The future of the Annie Lockwood Court Aged Care Home has been discussed in federal parliament. The minister responsible revealing there's discussions between Kindred Living and another organisation regarding a possible sale.
A glimmer of hope for residents.
I'm aware that there are discussions between Kindred Living and another party with respect to the possible sale of the service, Mr. President.
Senator Richard Colbeck, however, ruling out the federal government taking over operations. With over 3 weeks to go until its closure, community support to keep Annie Lockwood Court open is growing. A forum will be held on Saturday morning at the Westland Hotel, allowing the community to openly voice their concerns.
They need to be looked after. So there's a duty of care to seniors in our community.
The board and CEO of Kindred Living invited to the event, along with city council members and politicians. He wants the operators to be open and transparent about the decision to close the home.
They've been issued invitations along with many others in the Whyalla community, and they're all welcome to attend and give us their point of view and explain their positions.
Senator Colbeck telling Parliament he hopes a resolution will be found soon.
We want people to be able to age in the communities where they live, and so we're discussing with the South Australian Government and Kindred Living Services the options to ensure that that can be the case.
Kindred Living declined to comment regarding the minister's claims. Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A multi-million-dollar nuclear waste storage site near Kimber is now one step closer. Resources Minister Keith Pitt announced yesterday his intention to declare the Nappendine farm site as the preferred location. Kimber's Mayor Dean Johnson says his community still overwhelmingly support the dump site.
To have an industry come into town that can provide long-term employment will be really valuable.
A period of consultation will commence shortly after it's formalised. The Indigenous community is expected to ask for a judicial review. Still to come tonight, mixed news for the future of local shows in our region. And Port Pirie Council to make lead reduction a state election issue. Welcome back. Port Pirie Regional Council's state election platform has been released, with lead abatement at the top of the list. The Mayor says it's important to inform the electorate's candidates of issues of significance to Port Pirie.
Just 7 months out from the next state election, Council is calling for commitment from its political candidates.
It is super imperative that the Port Pirie Regional Council let the candidates know that are sitting in this upcoming election where we sit as far as TLAP is concerned.
Lead abatement, just one of 9 issues outlined by Council, but certainly the most significant for Port Pirie.
One of the key things is for lead abatement is to get a wetter, greener community, so we need to get some water involved in it. So the candidates will be very helpful in us talking to SA Water about a greening program.
The city's targeted lead abatement program is scheduled to finish in 2024, but the Mayor says it needs to be extended beyond that.
But we also need to look at it from a point of view that it's not only TLAP's responsibility or Nearstar's responsibility, it's our community as well. So Council needs to work really hand in hand with these guys and actually, produce the best we can for our community.
Stewart candidates say they're prepared to work with Council if elected.
Of the 9 issues put forward by the Council, and they're all important, I would have this at the top of the list. I am determined to reduce lead in blood of Port Pirie residents.
I'm 100% behind managing the lead issue in Port Pirie, and I give my full commitment to the Council to work with them, but not only the Council, but it's also the community.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The Port Lincoln show, which was scheduled for this Sunday, has been postponed. Organisers say the current COVID restrictions in South Australia are proving to be a challenge to put on the show.
By now, this would usually be all set up and ready to go for the weekend. Unfortunately, the show can't go on at this stage.
Really disappointed, yeah, but with all the COVID restrictions happening, it was just about virtually impossible to operate a normal show.
It's the second year the Port Lincoln show has been postponed, after last year's was cancelled due to the pandemic. However, the Vice President is hoping it's only a delay and it can go ahead in the next few months.
Just postponed, and next time we have it, hopefully it's going to be soon, because everyone's still keen, and you've got to get that motivation and enthusiasm, keep that up.
He says locals in the wider Eyre Peninsula community were looking forward to it.
Everyone was really keen to get the show happening again this year, even after last year not existing.
The show, a good opportunity to showcase and support local businesses and performers.
They were looking forward to coming to the show because it's been a long time between drinks, so to speak, and a long time between listening to live entertainment.
The committee will meet in the coming weeks to decide if and when the event will be rescheduled. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Meanwhile, despite uncertainties due to the pandemic, the wireless show is going ahead as planned. There will be some minor variations to accommodate the new restrictions, as they aim to provide much-needed entertainment for residents.
Constantly adapting to meet the current requirements. The 50th edition of the wireless show still planned to go ahead in a fortnight. With many other agricultural shows cancelled, the Steel Cities event remains one of the few in the region to continue.
We're very, very honoured, and it comes down to the hard work of our volunteers. We've been able to change with the restrictions, put in new management plans, think outside the box.
To meet the new guidelines, attendees are asked to wear masks at all times on site. There have been several other changes to meet current restrictions, including the relocation of some events.
With the new restrictions, we've had to move our show outside, so unfortunately there'll be nothing in the stadium or any of the pavilions, but we are trying to accommodate for that.
The Show Society believes this year will make up for the cancellation of last year's events. They also hope the Whyalla community can use the weekend to get a short reprieve from the world around them.
I think Whyalla needs to have an event, a bit of normality, a bit of fun, and we're very, very happy that we're going ahead.
Tickets are on sale through the Show Society's Facebook page and must be purchased online. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. A new water pipeline near Broken Hill secures federal funding. And Tumby Bay residents preparing to be illuminated by a new light display. The federal government will chip in $5 million for a pipeline between Stevens Creek Reservoir and Sunset Strip. The pipeline will travel through more than 320,000 hectares and provide water supply for 16 graziers. Member for Parks Mark Coulton says while the Menindee Lakes currently have water, a more permanent supply is needed.
Not as susceptible to drought as the lakes would be, and that's why it's important that these stations are covered.
It will replace the current Menindee to Broken Hill pipeline. The total cost is more than $11 million. Broken Hill locals are hopeful more productions will take off from the Silver City after the premiere screening of RFDS last night. The show, filmed entirely in the far west, features plenty of local talent.
Television coming to life at the Palace Hotel. Locals watching the first episode of RFDS sitting in the very room that's on the screen. Cause for celebration as vision of Broken Hill was beamed into lounge rooms across the country.
Most of the people in the dining room have been in the show, so it's like a reunion.
The 8-part series using local talent on and off screen. It's the latest production cementing Broken Hill's place as a world-class filming location.
Number one, it's COVID safe, relatively COVID safe. It's a secure environment for people to set up shop and really commit to being here to produce.
And rather uniquely, the series doesn't try to hide the fact it was filmed here.
The production company was really excited about the faces and the characters that were part of the show in terms of extras and the parts that were played by locals.
Already sold to 6 broadcasters overseas, locals hope it will inspire tourists to make a flying visit to the far west.
A few friends have been sending me messages from around Australia that have obviously clocked it, so that's always lovely and very exciting.
I certainly hope that they're all back to film season 2.
Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Illuminate Adelaide is busy getting ready to light up the Eyre Peninsula. The spectacular light show will be opening in Tumby Bay tomorrow night, with a raft of displays and interactive sites across the town.
Lighting up the Eyre Peninsula, the colourful and mind-blowing visualisations of Illuminate Adelaide coming to Tumby Bay.
This level of experience in the regional area is unique, and especially here in Tumby Bay, we're looking forward to having over a week of experience, and especially the weekends, which are going to be very exciting.
The immersive and interactive light show begins Friday night, running until August 21. The lights will be switched on between 6 and 9 p.m. each night.
Encourage people to come along and experience it, bring their phones along to have the full breadth of experience.
It's not just light spectaculars that will be on show. An augmented reality display also set up, with visitors urged to bring their electronic devices to enjoy the mind-boggling experience.
Make sure you bring your phone, because a lot of this stuff, especially this augmented reality, you're going to need your phone.
The 8-night event also helping local businesses.
It's about driving tourism to bring tourists to regional South Australia and giving the locals something pretty interesting to come and enjoy.
The COVID-safe event will have food and drinks available to purchase over the weekend. To download a map of where the different installations are situated, visit the Illuminate Adelaide website. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We check what's biting in the Spencer Gulf. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. The weekend is just around the corner, so it's time to go around the Spencer Gulf and check on what fish are biting. With all the details on where to drop a line in the coming days, here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, it's still winter, but there's signs of changes on the way. There's a humpback whale up here at the moment. As we're frolicking down around the shacks, about sort of 13 to 15 k's down. Morgan Palmer Dunn took that. Also, just behind me, there's been some seals frolicking around as well. So just be aware of them. Don't get too close to either of those animals. They're wild animals. As for the fish though, still King George whiting around. Can be found in really good numbers. The silver whiting is schooling up at the moment as well. They can be found down on the front of the shacks, both on the high tide and the low tides. And the same thing over in the middle of the Gulf as well. A few grass whiting getting caught. There's a few snook around Letty Spit to number 9 bank, and the salmon are just about everywhere as well up along that eastern side. That's all we have from the Jewel North.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. Last Saturday, Sunday, just turned it on. It was absolutely beautiful. Eastern Shoal, top end award Spit, as we said last week, is still performing pretty well. If you've got an opportunity, you live by Port Tremaine, if you go around Barrows Beach by the Berryweed, you should be able to find a good feed of King George also. The squid themselves have been starting to get pretty well, but I think if you look at the Third Creek patches and look at some of the salmon that is coming out, front of the river at Port Davis, still producing an odd catch of, salmon to Tommies to King George whiting. So if you want to stay in close, have a shot at that, and see you later next week.
Hi, Whalers Fishing Tips this week. Land-based things have heated up a little. Some really nice numbers of squid coming from the local jetty, both early in the morning and late in the evenings. Land-based also between the Point Lowly and Becky Point coastline. There's been some really good numbers of squid available off the rocks there. For the boat anglers, some nice King George whiting have schooled up on the south drop, so get amongst those, and also a few coming from the Marrick's Tie Reef.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, we're finally starting to get a bit of a break in the weather, and there has been quite a few boats out and about making the most of it. There's been some salmon trout out around Boston Island, and there have been some nice red snapper caught down the passage in those little windows of weather. Over on the Coffin Bay side, the Farm Beach grounds continue to produce quite a few whiting, right through to the Sand Hills and over to Gallipoli as well. There's also a few nice snook and a few garfish mixed through that area as well. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather across the region. With all the details for the next few days, it's good evening to Alex Sykes.
And good evening to you, John. Well, what a day it was today, with mainly fine conditions across the region. From 3 p.m, Port Augusta was partly cloudy and 18. Port Pirie reached 16 and Clare was 13 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla and Port Lincoln were both 17. Broken Hill was sunny and 16. Kadina, Cleve and Woodna were all partly cloudy and also 16. Adelaide had a shower or two and was 15. Cooper Pedy sunny and 17 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, thick cloud crossing eastern South Australia with a trough and cold front is triggering rain and showers. Speckled cloud moving over the south in the wake of the front is bringing scattered showers, mostly clear in the west and north with dry winds under high pressure. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Westerly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas around 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swell also around 1 metre. There is a marine wind warning current for South Australia. Augusta. Port Lincoln a shower to an 18 degrees, clear if possible, afternoon shower also 18 and partly cloudy for Woodna. Whyalla mostly sunny 19 degrees, similar conditions for Port Augusta 20 degrees and Kadina is set to be mostly sunny and 16 degrees. Port Pirie sunny and 18, Clare partly cloudy and 14 degrees and Broken Hill partly cloudy and 17 degrees. Taking a look at that all-important weekend forecast now, mainly fine conditions on Saturday, sunny for Cooper Pedy, Broken Hill and Port Augusta, partly cloudy elsewhere, temperatures in the high teens to low 20s. And similar conditions forecast for Sunday, sunny for Broken Hill, partly cloudy across the rest of the region, 25 will be the region's top while 18 will be the low. And now looking ahead to next week's forecast, mainly fine conditions forecast again, partly cloudy across the region. Adelaide is expected to have showers and reach 17 degrees. Cooper Pedy will have the region's top of 22. So John, it seems we have some beautiful conditions on the way, and that's all the weather from me for tonight. See you soon with an update. It's back to you.
Sounds good. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow at the earlier time before the footy at 6:30 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.